Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Steve with Real Progressives. Happy New Year. One of the things that we're going to talk about today is the fact that we have to come into agreement with the facts. We have to understand the truth before we can come up with an ideology, not try and make the truth match our ideology. When our ideology is wrong, we got to move away from it. If our ideology doesn't speak to truth, then our ideology is wrong. But when we find truth first and then create ideology wrapped around truth, that's when you're going to see some real progress. So this is 2017. I'm assuming it's a new year. It's like a new day, a new dawn, a new everything, right? But the same myths persist from yesteryear. So as we're talking about myths and we're talking about coming down to truth, if you're coming at discussing a science like economics, something that focuses on truth, okay? Something that focuses on zeros and ones, something that focuses on things that are observable, things that are true, not things that are speculative, not things that might be, not things that you thought might be, not things that your parents told you, and not things your buddy at the water cooler told you, but things that are true, observably true. That is the foundation of progress. If you're sitting there telling stories about things you know nothing of or very little of, or this thing your friend who talked to a friend who once had a friend who told you about something special, that is not science. That is not the foundation of truth. So when we're looking at how we proceed and how we move forward, instead of having all these ideas of what it should be, what you think it should be, how it should be, right? Think about how it is. Think about how it is. Think about what truth really is. And start from there. And that's how we can make progress. But I spend more time during the day, more time every day, debunking the stories you heard from Bill down at the gas station and some Ron Paul blog written off about some gold sale that they're making. You know, at the bottom of the thing, it's got a thing that if you fill it out, you can buy a lump of gold from Ron Paul to save you from the collapse of the universe. You know, when you sit there and you actually enter into reality and understand what the hell you're talking about, that's when you start building the blocks of progress. You don't start up here with a myth and try to make everything else fit into the myth. That's not how you make progress. That's more lies. That's just as big a frickin' lie as Hillary Clinton is a progressive. That's just as big of a lie as we did wonderful coming out of Bill Clinton's surplus. That's just as big a lie as WMD and aluminum rods in Iraq. That's just as big a lie. And the problem is that more of us are dying every day in this country from the economic myths and lies that are told by the people who don't know the truth, so they create a narrative that's fun to tell. They create this little universe of Rothschild conspiracies, and they create this universe of gold standard conspiracies and silver certificates and JFK and Executive Order 11110 and so on and so forth. They opt to ignore economic reality. It is impossible to make progress based on a lie. Now, if you want to be a revolutionary for real, you have to pick which fight you're fighting for. For example, the act of taxation has absolutely nothing to do with the act of spending at the federal level. They are not tied together at all, and yet the lie is perpetuated by our politicians, by our media, by our professors in college, by our water cooler friends, and then we fight amongst ourselves about why we need to raise taxes to pay for shit. This is a lie. It's verifiably a lie. But it's a lie that we persistently tell because it maps to our own truths about our own financial situation. You and I cannot simply write a check into existence to spend money out of thin air. We're not the currency issuer. If we did that, we would be counterfeiting. But the United States government has lied to us over and over again. You know this. You know it about the CIA. You know it about Libya. You know it about all these other things. But when I try and tell you they're lying about our financial systems, you act like, no, couldn't possibly be. They've been telling us all along our FICA taxes pay for Social Security. These people are obviously prophets of truth. How dare you tell me that FICA doesn't pay for Social Security? FICA doesn't pay for Social Security. It's a psychological ploy to make us feel paid into a system. That is the way they do it. That's the way they did it. So how do you start off with truth? Well, you get rid of the bullshit. You get rid of the noise. And you come down to the fact that the federal government is the owner of the US dollar. Not the freaking Federal Reserve, the banks in the Federal Reserve, but the Board of Governors is a freaking federal agency, goddammit. The Board of Governors is a freaking federal agency. It is not some private thing. And when they talk about auditing the Fed, for example, they're not talking about going line by line through the thing. They already audit it by an independent auditor every freaking year. Constantly do it. Audit the Fed is about letting non-money people, political people, look over the shoulder of money people and try and make non-money people decisions in areas they know nothing of. Now, should there be more transparency? Maybe, yeah, sure, why not? But the real deal is if Congress issues an edict that you must take care of the little people when you make your decisions, the Federal Reserve will then in turn make decisions based on the 99%. Why is Congress not doing that? Because they've got you duped into saying, well, the Federal Reserve is this, that, and the other. So we've started from a lie, we repeat the lie, we tell the lie ad nauseum, and then we demand that we tax before we spend. So let's look how the domino rolls of all the lies you've been told and all the lies you repeat and all the suffering that lie breeds that you are perpetuating. Whether it means you mean to do it or not, you are perpetuating the lie too. Either by intent or by accident. We could have single payer today without raising a nickel of taxes on the wealthy. So there's one fight you don't have to have right now. Instead of focusing on, we got to tax them, which we want to tax them, but for different reasons. Sure, let's tax them, but let's not hold people that need health care up while you're fighting your tax war. They're separate fights. Taxes do not fund federal spending. This is not an opinion. This is not some water cooler chat. This is a statement of truth and fact. This is not subject to your feels. It's not subject to you agreeing with me. That's the way facts are. They're true regardless of your belief. Dollars are created by a keystroke on a computer. They say, enter $10,000 into account A. $10,000, a digital representation, is now in account A. When the Congress writes a bill and authorizes spending, a keystroke is made and those dollars are transferred to the Treasury and dollars go out. That's it. There is no mystery. There is no mysticism. There is no bonds that have to be sold to do that. Although we do have it, that we do things like that, it's not to fund government. We don't need to even have bonds, but we do it because corporations and countries want a little taste of it. They want to have a little bit of corporate subsidies. Treasury bonds are nothing but a giveaway to the rest of the world. We don't need to do them. We don't need to do them at all. We are monetarily sovereign. That is a fact as well. This is not subject to your likes. This is not subject to your ideology. It's not subject to Ron Paul's 3 a.m. infomercials about buying gold. None of it is up to that. It is just a fact. It's true. And when you see Deutsche Bank or when you see some other bank screw up, it's a commercial bank. It's not the federal government bank. It is a private institution that needs to be regulated via a modern Glass-Steagall. It is not the same thing as the Federal Reserve. When the Federal Reserve takes extraordinary measures during an extraordinary recession to bail out banks and stuff like that to save the economy, it doesn't mean that it could not have done something to bail out Main Street. But Congress is the one that writes the checks. They were the one that writes the bills into play. They're the ones that say, hey, you spend on the 99%. But you guys keep letting Congress off the hook. Why is that? Why do you keep focusing on the Federal Reserve? The Federal Reserve controls monetary policy. Congress controls fiscal policy. Congress owns the purse strings by the Constitution. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. This is not up to your water cooler chat. This is not up to your Liberty blog. This is not up to Ron Paul's 3 a.m. infomercials seeking to get you to buy gold. This is a fact. And this is where progress begins, with facts. So divorce yourself of all the ideology. Start this year off right and commit to getting rid of ideological bullshit that taints the truth, that keeps you away from examining truth because you're so invested in a lie, you're afraid to tell the truth now. You're afraid to look stupid because you're so heavily invested in telling this lie over and over and over again. What, are you afraid that a Republican will tease you because taxes don't fund spending? And you've been saying it all this time, you're afraid a Republican might tease you? Get over it, Peter Pan, Count Chocula. Friggin' deal with it. It's more important to be right now than it is to have to cover a lie from yesteryear. Again, this is where progress starts, telling the frickin' truth. Don't be like Hillary Clinton. Tell the truth. And the truth is, taxes don't fund spending. Our banking system is not run by some foreign corporation. We don't owe billions and trillions of dollars to China. China has savings accounts at the Fed. That's what a treasury is. Stop lying. Stop telling the wrong stories. Learn truth. There is no debt like you know, because you know what happens to that so-called debt? It's a keystroke. It's a keystroke, folks. And you're denying people medical help. You're denying people health care because of your pursuit of lowering the debt, lowering deficits, cutting deficits. Yay, Obama. Yay, Bill Clinton. Cut deficits. We got to cut deficits. At some point in time, it's got to be more important to you to take care of human beings than it is for you to chase your conspiracy theories. At what point in time will it be more important to get single-payer health care and stop talking about how we're going to pay for it and demand from our public servants that they serve us? I don't care how many people. I mean, somebody ask Jordan Chariton. Ask Jordan. Jordan, do taxes fund spending? I don't know what he'll say. I don't know that he knows this stuff either. Ask Debbie, the same progressive. I don't know if she knows this stuff either. Ask the humanist. Ask Kyle Kulinski from the Secular Talk or whatever. Ask any of them. Ask Tim Black. Ask them all. Do they think taxes fund spending? And you'll see how deep the hole is that we got to climb out of. Ask your local congressman. Ask your alderman. Ask your school board attendant. Ask your governor. Ask your congressman, your senator. And look how many people will tell you an incorrect story. A progress-killing incorrect story. And it's not all their fault. They don't know. So it's up to us to educate. It's up to us. It's up to us. We have to care enough about getting single payer and taking care of the environment and taking care of education for all. We have to care enough about that to put our ideological crap aside and learn proper economics. Learn the way economics is going from 1971 to present. Richard Nixon removed us from the gold standard in 1971. Removed us from the gold standard in 1971. There is no petrodollar. Not like what you're talking about. That's not what our dollar is backed on. But yet, more conspiracy nonsense. More bullshit. They do this to keep you and I down, and it's up to us to lift us up. It's up to us to lift us up. This is one of the very few times where the truth has to come from the bottom up. We have got to tell the truth. We've got to give air cover to the politicians that actually do know the truth. And we've got to give air cover to the academics who know the truth, but will be shunned and castigated and blacklisted for speaking truth in the economic communities. We've got to be the ones that provide air cover for the truth. Just like we blew the lid off of WMD, just like we stopped the Dakota pipeline, just like we've done so many other things, just like we've worked to get gay marriage legalized, just like we've done so much in this nation. We've got to make economic truth our next fight, because all these battles you want to fight, every last one of them, there's not a single one of them that doesn't come back to the base reality of how are you going to pay for it. So without what I'm saying, without MMT, without understanding monetary sovereignty, without understanding that federal taxes do not fund spending, we will continue to march in place or lose ground as the Republican Party seeks to remove Social Security from existence. As they go forward and have a constitutional convention for a balanced budget, we will all lose. It will destroy us. The misery will be epic. It's up to us. Again, ask all those pundits I just laid out there what they know about a balanced budget amendment and what they know about the fact that we are monetarily sovereign. Do you think that they'll peddle myths about the Federal Reserve? Do you think they'll peddle myths about the debt? Do you think that? I hope not. I want them all to know. We need everyone to know this. Everyone. Everyone. It can't be one person. It can't be 20 people. It's got to be hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. 3% of the public, folks, 3% of the public can change the world. Let it start with us. Tonight, I will have Ellis Winningham on with me at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about the economic realities and uniting the progressive movement based on truth. We will talk at length about uniting the progressive movement under the guise of truth. Join us, please. I'm Steve Grumbine with Real Progressives. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful year, and Happy New Year. So help me God, it's a beautiful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.